everybody, Tyrone the Guy 3 here, and welcome back to Pokemon X and Y Anime Reviews. Today we'll be doing a review of episode 90. The title is A Tag Battle is Friendship Battle. Eevee fights for the first time. This episode was really good. It had some really nice moments. I gotta say it was definitely the episode that Eevee needed. Because, like I said in the last review, her capture, we don't really have a confirmed gender for Eevee, do we? I'm guessing girl, obviously. But, her capture debut episode wasn't, all that great. It wasn't bad, it was it. But overall, the episode's pretty basic, as we see. From what we see in the episode, Serena actually gets started doing some practicing rounds with Braveston and Pancham, and Eevee is just more or less watching, just observing and checking it out. And once Eevee's checking it out, I thought this was pretty funny. They're continuing the Bunnelby running gag, where Bunnelby's out only so that Eevee won't freak out, because Bunnelby, for some reason, is just like the Pokemon Eevee chose to be cool with. So I thought that was a really nice touch. Chespin's trying to get in contact with them again, and it's failing. So then after that, we see that once that ends up happening, the heroes meet up with Tyrino again. Only this time his Wartortle has evolved into a Blastoise. Now, if you watch our commentary, which I'll put a link into the description of this review, because Dean, KG, and I did do a commentary of this episode. If you watch our commentary, we seem to have gotten some mixed reviews over how Blastoise is in terms of Tyrino's Pokemon and in terms of it being a dancing Pokemon. I honestly think it would be pretty cool that now that Blastoise is a part of Tyrino's team and just able to dance, because it does show that it's able to break dance to some degree, but it doesn't seem like it's as flexible as when it was a Squirtle or a Wartortle. Obviously, because Blastoise is a lot heavier now. But anyway, they meet up with Tyrino, and Tyrino's glad to meet Serena and the whole gang and stuff, so it's pretty cool. And then after that, they also meet up with Shauna in the exact same place. And since they meet up with Shauna, Shauna learns that Serena now has Eevee. So now that she learned that, Shauna actually points out all of the possibilities of evolution for Eevee and how they can help in her contest. So they show all these different Eevee evolutions and how they can benefit her in the contest, and Eevee shows to be very interested. Then Shauna and Tyrino end up talking about Trevor, and it's like, hey, have you guys seen Trevor recently? And they're like, yeah, he's taking pictures of Pokemon like he always is. So they're doing that. And then after that, they all go in to grab some soda, and it's funny because Tyrino's actually fighting the gyms now too. Since he's fighting the gyms, he actually already fought Olympia, so he's ahead of Ash at this point, I'm guessing. Either that or Olympia is probably his 6th gym and not his 7th. Because the thing about Pokemon, it can go either way. There's no real specific order. I mean, for Christ's sake, Shota was fighting Clement at his level. So, yeah, at that point, when that all ends up taking place, Ash actually wants to know what Pokemon that Olympia uses. Well, he doesn't know that it's Olympia. He just knows the 7 gym leader. And he knows the type now thanks to Tyrino. But before Tyrino starts to tell what Pokemon, Ash just goes, never mind, don't spoil it. So at that point, Ash doesn't get spoiled, so he'll know what to face off against when he faces it. Then after that, it's funny, Shauna actually points out Serena's crush that she has on Ash, and that's pretty funny because then Serena starts to freak out over that. So now Shauna knows too, and it's just funny when we see a lot of the characters who already are fully aware of Serena's crush on Ash. Then after that, we end up getting a moment where Chespin tries to feed a Pokepuff to Eevee because Bunnelby did it, and then Eevee freaks out and she goes to Serena for protection. After that, Ash suggests that there's a way to get Eevee over the fear by introducing it to the other Pokemon again, only this time they should all compete in a tag team battle. And Ash was going to use either Frogadier or Pikachu or one of his, and then there's Dedenne out there too. So Eevee has to try to get comfortable with some of the Pokemon. So Eevee winds up becoming comfortable enough to where it can like wag its tail across the DNA, Frogadier, or Pikachu, and then it finally comes down to Chespin, and Chespin's just like holding his breath, trying his hardest to be accepted, and Chespin actually lets out a big gasp of air, which scares Eevee off. So yeah, it was really funny to see that happen, and just Chespin in pure failure. After that, the Poke Showcase live feed happens, and we see that Aria or Ellie, whatever you want to call her, shows up on the screen, and Eevee's actually interested in who she is, and Serena explains that uh, she actually met. She refers back to the episode where Finnegan evolved into Braixen, and how she's like is dreaming to become famous just like Arya. So Eevee respects her for that goal and will like is destined to help her fight now. After this, the battle officially starts with Shauna and Serena as tag team partners, and they'll be battling off against Ash and Tirina. So when that happens, the tag team battle takes place. Serena uses Eevee, and Shauna uses her newly evolved Ivysaur. And the fight starts off pretty okay, but then Eevee winds up getting so hesitant during the middle of the fight that, much like Finnegan in the showcase, Eevee ends up falling over. After this, though, Eevee realizes Serena's goals and everything, and she locks down. So then Eevee starts dancing and getting the steps of Tirino's dancing Pokemon. So Eevee ends up dancing, and we get this epic like so you think you can dance Pokemon edition like dance battle with Eevee and Blastoise, and I thought that was very interesting. The battle doesn't have an overall victor, but Eevee does get in some good hits in the fight, and at that point Serena goes ahead and calls the fight off because she says she's gotten everything she needed out of it, so she basically kind of conceded, I guess. But it was all for the sake of for Eevee coming out of its shell a little bit, more development for Eevee. And Dean brought it up during the commentary. Well, I don't think he brought it up during the commentary. I think we commented on it later. He actually brings up a good point. I'm kind of disappointed that Ash didn't use Noibat in this battle, and the fact that he used Pikachu. Don't get me wrong, I got nothing against Pikachu per se. It's just, come on now. We've only had like 2 real episodes of Noibat. Its debut and then it learning how to fly in the flying race. Other than that, we haven't had much Noibat screen time for real, which is sad because that means Bunnelby's gotten more screen time than Noibat, for Christ's sakes. But anyway, at this point, Serena's very proud of Eevee. And since they're very proud, after all of that, Ash decides to go ahead and fight Tirino because, somebody's got to get this Ash whooping. Yeah, I'm dubbing it that now because Ash wins enough for that to be a thing now. Ash actually is competent in this region. So yeah, Ash battles against Tirino, but there's no decided victor. It's all off screen. And then after that, the next day happens, and this is probably the funniest scene in the entire episode. They wake up late, so they have to run to play catch up in order to make it to the registration for Serena to make it to the showcase in time. I think Shauna's going to be in the showcase as well. So, yeah, they're running quickly to make it to the showcase. And it's funny because Serena's the only one that looks like decently ready. Shauna hasn't fixed her hair yet. Tirino's like running while he's asleep. Ash has got like a freaking piece of toast in his mouth. And Pikachu's like asleep. Clement has like serious bedhead. And he's carrying Bonnie while Bonnie's dead sleep in this Chirantrum pajamas. Yeah, it's like the best moment I've ever seen of the X and Y gang with Shauna and Tirino to accompany it. So it was really cool just to see that little moment, and they're rushing to the showcase and the episode ends. Overall, this episode, like I said, was the development that Eevee really needed because, for Christ's sakes, Eevee just needed it. Like, there's no other way to say it. Eevee really needed this episode more than anybody because the catch episode didn't do her much justice. But overall, I gotta say, it was really good episode. I really liked the the Eevee dancing against Blastoise animation. I kind of wish that Blastoise would have shown off a lot more of its dance moves as well. I mean, I get that it's more of a heavier Pokemon than Wartortle and Squirtle as counterparts, but I still believe that Blastoise and Tyranill together can make for a pretty good dance team. If, like, well, since it's their battle style. But overall, it is good to see that Tyranill is actually developing as well, and Shauna is too. This does bring up a huge debate on who I think is going to win in the showcase, though. I want Serena to win, I really do, but there's a lot against her right now to win. Two things. One, she's already won the last showcase, and she won it by such a large margin. She won it by, like, completely stomping over the rest of the contestants, like curve stomping them, if you look at the scoreboard. The only thing I can think of is if Serena wins, but it has to be a close win this time. Like, she barely made it. That's the only thing I could look at that would look remotely fair. And that's only because it would be a little bit, like, unfair for Serena to curb stomp this one, especially when you also consider the fact that her Eevee has shyness, and I believe that Eevee's being shy is going to be a conflict in this showcase. I just believe it is. I think Momo sent a description on Twitter, a brief like summary on Twitter about the episode, and because of that, I want to believe that Eevee's shyness will be a thing that causes a bit of difficulty for Serena to win this particular showcase. Hopefully she does win though, because if she wins, then that means she can just go ahead and get her second key, and we can just get that over with. And then, like, she'll try to win her third key and fail, then come back and win her final key. Like, and then she can enter the master contest. Because I don't want her to get all three keys this quickly. I know it sounds weird, but I don't want her to get three keys this quickly. The reason for that being is because the number's 3. And that's not a high number. When it came to contest ribbons back in Hoenn and Diamond and Pearl, you needed like, I think 4 or 5, I can't remember. You needed about 4 ribbons total, which means that the pacing has to accommodate for that. Serena only needs 3 keys, which means she can actually afford to lose one. I would prefer it not be this one, though, because that could slow things down quite a bit for her. I kind of want her to like lose her the third one and then come back and get the third one later. I don't know, just the pacing of it all. But with that said, overall good episode. I gotta say there were no complaints here. We'll be seeing the showcase next week, so that'll be very interesting. With that said, the next episode is snaps. The next episode is A Happy Dance Comes After the Quiz, an Anastar Festival showcase. So we'll actually get to see the quiz element being used. I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3